Welcome to our morning show visit today on WRCO. We brought back some friends to the studio today. We're here to talk about the Driftless Area Deer Classic, which is back this Saturday, this weekend here in Richland Center. John Clare is here along with Dave Barron and Derek Goplin. We'll talk about their enthusiastic approach to this big event here. John, welcome back.
Thanks. Good to be back.
It seemed like just yesterday, but you were here the week of the gun deer season, I think was the last time.
Yeah, we were here to talk about the upcoming deer season, and now we're going to talk about how the deer season went.
Yeah, exactly.
And everybody's going to get a chance to show off their deer heads.
Yeah. How's the winter weather been, in terms of the great outdoors? I know you're out there all the time.
It really wasn't. It's been cold, of course, and for those that ice fish, of course, there was ice this year that wasn't there last year. It's been pretty good. A little bit of snow here recently, and so the deer herd should be doing very well.
It seems they are. I see them running along the roadways.
Yeah, and in town they're everywhere. They're in my backyard almost every night.
Indeed. So how did the deer season go this past year for the gun deer season?
Well, there was the kill was down a little bit, and one of the problems we have, of course, is chronic wasting disease, which we've talked about a lot. The problem is that when the disease becomes endemic and gets to a certain rate, the deer population is probably going to go down, and I think that's what's happening. They did a study here in southwestern Wisconsin over 6 years, and they tagged just over 1,000 deer. Some were fawns, some were adults, and then they kind of tracked them to see whether they survived or not. And what they found was that if it was a female deer, it had an 83% chance of making it through a year if it didn't have chronic wasting disease. If it had chronic wasting disease, its chance of survival, instead of being 83%, was 41. So about half the chance of survival. If it was a buck had a 69% chance of making it through a year. If it was if it was negative for chronic wasting disease, only a 17% chance to make it if it was positive. So that obviously plays a role. And one of the things that they discovered, or they kind of extrapolated off of that study, was that once the population positive rate becomes about 29% in the doe population, the population will start to go down. And I think that's what's starting to happen here. Normally, and Dave knows, we talk every year about we're shooting about 3,000 does and about 3,000 bucks in Richland County, and that's not nearly enough does to impact the population. But now, this last year, the population, the deer kill rather, was down to about 2,500 of each. So it dropped by about 1,000. Over the normal 6,000, we only killed about 5,000 deer. So that may be due to chronic wasting disease, but it could be other factors as well.
Is it going to take care of itself? I mean, nature going to, take care of itself, and the herd comes back then?
One of the things they said in the study, and the study is available on the DNR's website for anybody to look at, is that the deer will not become extinct or extirpated, which means extinction in a small area. They're always going to be there, but they'll be there at a reduced level.
Dave, did people follow directions this year at the kiosks and everything go well there?
Yeah, actually, we managed to fill up some dumpsters this year, and I noticed in Ithaca we did not have as many deer heads thrown in the dumpster. They actually put them in the kiosk. I'm hoping people are finally realizing that we need to get a handle on this CWD, and so getting your deer tested. I think I killed 3 deer this year, and one was positive. Last year I killed 3 deer, and 2 were positive. So maybe it's getting better in my area.
Sounds good. Well, this weekend with the Driftless Area Deer Classic, is this kind of the culmination? Is this kind of a way to celebrate a little bit?
Yeah. I'm curious to see how many really large deer heads we get this year. Last year we had 5 or 6 over 200 inches, And, everybody talks about Buffalo County being the county with big deer. Well, guess what? Richland County is the big deer population. Everybody remember that I didn't say that. Go to Buffalo County, stay out of Richland County.
You just made the price of land go up.
Yeah, exactly. Well, tell us about the order of events then, John, coming up this weekend.
Okay, normally what happens is we take in deer heads on Friday night from 4 to 9, and you can drop your deer head off. If you enter a deer head in the show, you have a chance at winning a gun. So we encourage people to do that, and we'll also put on display your European mounts, which are the skull mounts, and even shed antlers that people found. You can have the head scored if you like. And the scoring process, of course, there's folks there from the Buck and Bear Club and Pope and Young and the Boone and Crockett scoring. It's all the same, but they will measure the antlers, and Dave was saying about a 200-inch deer is gigantic, and they measure the length of the beams and then the circumference at different places, and they add it all up and they come up with a score. And so you can have your head scored if you like, and we then on Saturday open up from 9 to 5, and if you're going to have a deer head on display, you can pick it up after 5. So we want it there so that everybody can see them.
All right, I just wanted to make a comment. If you get your deer head scored, there's no cost.
Right.
So it's free. And so if you're just curious where your buck ranks, if you can get it scored, and so you can see how big it really was.
Can people bring it in and not leave it for Saturday's show then? Or would you rather
them not to?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, we want to put them on display so people from around the area can see what kind of deer were shot in the area.
Mm-hmm. Boy, some of those you might have trouble getting them through the doorway, right?
No, we're talking deer, not elk.
I know, but that's a big spread, though.
Yeah, we have some impressive deer around here, and luckily I still have my cameras out, and there's a bunch of them made it through this year, which
that's good. They always do.
Are you doing some things with trail camera photos as well?
We have in the past. I don't know if we're doing that again this year. I think so.
Yeah, we normally have a photo contest.
Trail camera photo contest. And so, Derek, do you know if that's happening?
I'm not really sure. It's something we could probably pull off pretty quickly, though.
Yeah,
it's not a huge process to
right.
Make
So
happen,
if you have some good trail camera photos, bring them in.
Okay,
and of course, and it's not just deer. Yeah. Here in Richland County, we're having all sorts of things show up. Lots of bobcats, mountain lion once in a while, a bear once in a while. So if you have some trail camera photos you'd like to bring in, feel free to do that.
Okay, I'm going to make an executive decision.
Okay.
We are going to have a photo contest.
All right. Your photo's not eligible, though, Dave.
Yeah.
So
I don't bring any anyway.
So Derek, tell us a little bit about. Have you been involved with the Deer Classic since its inception?
I have been. Just recently, last year, I became the treasurer for the club. John had taken that on for many years. I really don't actually remember who did it before John, but I've been a part of it. We have some new things happening this year that I'm pretty excited about. We're not going to do food ourselves this year. We're going to outsource that to Utter Brothers, which I believe is from the basketball area. Mm-hmm. We're pretty excited for them to come in and give a different opportunity for food. The other main thing we're doing this year with our raffles is we have a card reader on hand. Many people that have bought raffles in the past know that if they run out of cash, they got to go down to Quick Trip and, between the other businesses, but on your way down to Quick Trip, you probably don't come back. So very excited for that to have at the archery or at the show. So
new and improved, then it sounds like.
Yes, we're moving along with technology. So
yeah, that's awesome. So do you remember the first show and how well it's grown through the years?
Yeah. So first show was down in at the middle school when we first started. Like anything new, it was pretty chaotic. It was a lot of good ideas, but it was relatively hard to manage and what everyone's actual role was. So we've had probably the same people for the most part doing the show. And now, like this year, just working with Jim Birch, our president, it's the stuff we've had to do is very minimal. Everything has been very smooth. Everyone knows their role. We take care of it. There's not really a lot of planning that goes into the show anymore because it runs so smoothly. So that helps with being able to do new things. We can look at the data, the numbers, and see what we need to do if we need to add more raffles.
Dave?
Yeah. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut Derek off. We're one of the only deer shows in the area anymore.
Yep.
A lot of the other deer shows have quit doing it. And like Derek was talking about, our first year, we put up display boards. It took us like 3.5 hours to put them up the first year. Now it's 30 minutes. So,
Yep.
We kind of have the same crew come in every year. You don't have to tell anybody what to do. It just gets done.
Why aren't there more? Why have they kind of died out, so to speak?
I don't know.
Yeah, there used to be the real big one in Madison, which was called the Deer Classic, and it was at the Alliant Energy Center, and that kind of went by the wayside and was replaced by one called Open Season, which is in the Dells now, and it's a little bit smaller maybe, but some of the ones that have been in the area, the big one was in Prairie du Chien. That's where we would borrow the display boards, and now we bought them. They just decided that their interest was going down, and so they probably didn't have enough help, like everybody else doesn't, and they just decided to do away with it, and we kind of took it over, and so we're one of the only shows in the area right now.
Yeah, and we average 100 to 125 deer heads every year, and that seems to be what we've done for the last 8 years.
That's pretty impressive.
Yep.
Yeah. So I'm sure you still get some that wow you once in a while, don't you?
Yeah, but the wild deer we put right on the first board when you walk in, and you go, holy cow, look at these guys. Why don't I see these?
Yeah, there's some big ones.
Yeah. Do you remember why you first got involved, Derek?
When I first got involved with the archery, club was just having the passion to be out in the outdoors, to enjoying archery hunting. Most of the people that are still involved in the club are the same people I, met when I was in high school when I first started. So being able to see the same people every week during the summertime when we gather it's pretty cool. We always get to tell stories. Some of them are repeated multiple times a year, but it's always a good time to just to come up on a Wednesday night and kind of just get away from life for a little bit and enjoy the outdoors. Heckle each other during shooting and stuff. So it's a good reason to always come back.
How often does the archery club meet during the year then?
Yeah, so we meet once a week on Wednesday nights up at the archery club. It usually starts around April-ish, depending on the weather, and then we go until bow season. So we have about 4 shoots a year, once a month through the summertime on the weekends, and if you're a member, you can shoot anytime you want. You just don't have to come up on Wednesdays. You can come up any day of the week and shoot. So we'll have all that information up there. If you want to come up and stop up on a Wednesday night during the summertime, you're more than happy to. And then we'll have stuff on Facebook too. So
just come up and watch if you want to.
Yeah, if you want to come up and have a broader hot dog, we got beverages too. Come up and share a story.
Awesome. So do you strictly archery hunt or do you gun hunt as well?
I do both. I really enjoy the archery side of things. I have a lot of other family members that we share the land with, so most of them gun hunt, so I tend to just let them participate in that. And I have other things that I do during the gun season, so I get more time to hunt during the archery season and less pressure. So
sure. So are you bringing anything personally to the show this year? Was it a successful hunt for you?
This year it was not successful in deer wise, but I enjoyed a lot of hours out in the woods. So I'll still bring the same deer that I always bring from when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm pretty busy during the show, and I like to go around and see all the new stuff. So
Good. Yeah, the stories are just a part of it, you know? Is there going to be a storytelling clinic here at the Classic? Or you're not leading that,
no,
huh, John?
we're not going to do that. But as Derek alluded to earlier, we shoot on Wednesday nights. If anybody in the area wants to join the archery club, we'll make that available at the deer show. It's right up past Goodwill, at the end of the road. There's a T. Take a left, go up the hill, and that's where we're at. And we have a kind of a clubhouse area there, more like a kind of a lean-to. It's open area, and we generally have out about 30 3D targets, anywhere from something the size of a raccoon to something the size of a moose, full size. And so different ranges, and it's fun. And whether or not you're really, really into archery or just trying to get involved a little bit, it's a lot of fun.
Crossbows as well?
We do allow crossbows to come and shoot some of the targets. We don't like them to shoot the 3Ds because they're pretty accurate. They'll eat up the same. Unlike me, they hit the same spot all the time. I spread my arrows around to save the targets.
Do you remember your first bow and arrow, Derek?
I do. It was made of PVC and I don't know, cotton string maybe. It's just enough to enjoy it. I got my first bow in high school that my dad bought, and I think I shot 6 deer the first year, and then the rest is history. It's hard to get away. So.
You were Rookie of the Year that first year, it sounds like.
Competing with myself, yes.
You were a step up for me. I think I had Baylor twine on my first one, so the cotton string was a little bit better. The show's coming up this weekend, and you don't have to be a hunter to go out and enjoy this. I think just to go out and marvel at it, John.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun to see what kind of animals are out there, and we also have a lot of vendors that'll be there, so you can buy things hunting related. There's usually somebody there, usually a realtor if you're looking for land to hunt on. There are folks there selling stuff for food plots, seeds for food plots, and fertilizer and whatnot for that kind of activity. And then all kinds of hunting related. There's usually people dealing in bows and taxidermy services and that kind of thing too. So
it's kind of a one-stop shop, isn't it, Dave?
Yeah, actually it is. I'm surprised John didn't mention this. We've added something new this year. We're going to have slightly used camouflage clothing for sale at a very reasonable price. So I know I'm unloading a whole tote full of.
Yeah, my wife and I are in charge of that. So our back porch has got piles already. So and it was actually my wife's idea. I think it was her idea to get me to part with some of my stuff. But there are a lot of other folks that are donating too, and that'll be for sale on a couple of tables back in the corner, and it'll be very reasonable. And if you donate, we're going to try our best to sell it. That goes toward the deer dumpsters that we sponsor here in Richland County, and then anything that's unsold at the end of the show will go to Goodwill. So if you want to get rid of it, it doesn't necessarily have to be camo. If it's blaze orange, you want to part with it, we'll see if we can find it a new home.
That's a good deal, because you can never have enough clothes. If somebody shows up, they need some clothes at your place, or that's
right. It's good to have backup sometimes.
Yes, most definitely. So that'll be there, and then again, the proceeds go to the archery club. Then
yep, go to the archery club and toward the dumpster program that costs us a lot every year to have those dumpsters out. And as Dave alluded to earlier, those dumpsters got filled twice this year. In all the different locations. So we got rid of a lot of deer waste that would have normally gone into the woods and had the possibility of spreading chronic wasting disease, and it went to a landfill instead.
Good deal. We'll come back and talk a little bit more about the Driftless Area Deer Classic coming up this weekend in Richland Center right after these words on The Morning Show. The Driftless Area Deer Classic is back this coming weekend. Members of the Archery Club are in the studio with us today. John Clare, Dave Barron, and Derek Goplin talking about the upcoming event. Derek, you couldn't do it without the aid of your sponsors. Could you mention some of those?
Yeah. We've had a lot of returning sponsors as well as quite a few new ones this year. I'll just go through a quick list real quick. We have levels of like platinum all the way down to bronze. The top sponsors have donated $500, and the lower ones like $50, I believe. And all of that is wonderful. All that money stays local to help the deer show continue, as well as the archery club. I'd like to thank the Richland Center Tourism. They've been a great help with being able to help with the tourism side of things and our ad placements. Cabela's has always been a continuing partner with us, and Prem Meats has been a new sponsor the last few years. They're returning as well, and they'll have some food at their stand again, just to try some new stuff. Other sponsors, I'll just go down the list real quick, and if I mispronounce a couple names, I was not the one that typed this. So, Open Season Hunter Outlets, Creamer's Water Store, Air and Heat Doctors, Agelli Concrete and Excavating. Richland Locker has always been a wonderful sponsor of ours. They give us a lot of credit for food and stuff, and they've always been a wonderful partner throughout our year. Ramada Inn, Ridge and Valley chapter of the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation, Philback Ford, A Plus Furniture, Corn on Main, Interwind Baskery, Wilson's Wild Works, local taxidermist here in town. Jeremy's been awesome to work with. Strings Heating Electric, the Richland County Bank, Maxi Rack, which Seed Company, Narrow Valley Supplies, Edward Jones, Goliath Pursuits, Driftless Outdoors, the Royal Bank, Solar Meats, Miller Electric, Fuller's Melker Center, Rockwell Automation was a new one this year, I believe, and then the Wisconsin Buck and Bear as well. They've been a partner with us. Without them, we probably don't do the deer show. They do all the scoring and stuff, whether people want it scored for free, or if you want it to put in the books, then you can pay them an extra fee for that. And with the sponsors, most of these are vendors as well at the show, so they'll have their products, and they'll be able to, you'll be able to look at their stuff and buy stuff if you want from them. So we'll have a full house this year again, and we're pretty excited about it.
Derek, you mentioned tourism. Do you see a lot of people coming in from quite a ways away to the show?
Last year we did. One of the big things I pushed last year was being involved in Facebook more. We've always had a Facebook page, but being able to use social media for ad services, we're able to specifically target certain areas outside of home. The radios are wonderful for the local people that listen in all the time, but a lot of younger people, just away from town, La Crosse area, Minnesota. We've had a couple stranglers from Iowa and Illinois before. Whether they drive up specifically for it or they're just in the area, that's to be determined. But we did have a lot more people last year from out of town, and we've pushed even more on Facebook this year. So we're pretty excited to see what happens.
Great. Hope you get a good crowd. The weather's going to be a little warmer, so maybe you got a better chance.
It's not going to be negative 20, so.
Then you should tell me the very first one, you had a snowstorm?
I believe. Did.
Oh, you did?
Dave did, yeah.
Dave did, okay. Yeah. There was a snowstorm to contend with then, so.
It's kind of interesting, actually, because it started snowing heavily right as the show started.
Yeah. Yep.
And we had like 8 inches by the time we closed. But we still had a lot of good attendance that day. So, deer hunters will go away.
Yeah, they're a hardy group, that's for sure.
February in Wisconsin, you never know what you're going to get.
So if I'm stumbling around in the woods and I find a shed, can I bring that in as well?
You certainly can.
Can I? Okay.
And let me know where you find that.
Never know.
See if I can find the other one.
We actually had several last year that they had years of sheds for the same deer they killed that year.
Really?
And so, shed hunting's still pretty big.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and a lot of people, especially if they own property or hunt the same property all the time, they try to find the sheds from a deer and kind of track it as it gets bigger. And I don't do that. I shoot anything that comes by. But some people target one particular buck.
Yeah, that takes a lot of You got to be holding yourself back a little bit.
Yeah, and I'm not able to do that.
Some other things you want to talk about? There's some other important meeting dates during the year, John?
Yeah, David and I are both on the Conservation Congress, and the Conservation Congress meeting is coming up on Monday, April 14th. And the Conservation Congress, there are 5 reps in every one of the 72 counties in Wisconsin, and any kind of rule changes, hunting, fishing, trapping, environmental rules, all go through the Conservation Congress. And at the Conservation Congress meeting, the crowd that's there gets to vote on a couple of things. First of all, they get to vote on the reps. And this year there are 2 seats open. My seat is open, a 3-year 3-year term, and then there's another 2-year term that's open that's got nobody in it currently. So if you would like to run for one of those seats, you have to be at the meeting. If you want to vote for somebody, you have to be at the meeting. You can share your input, and you can vote on the resolutions that are brought up online after the meeting is over for 2 days. There's an online chance for you to vote on the resolutions that have been brought up. But for the Conservation Congress representatives, you have to be at the meeting. And that meeting will be Monday, April 14th. It starts at 6 p.m., and it's usually in the courtroom. We haven't heard exactly where it's going to be. That's up to the local warden to set that up, but it's usually in the courtroom in the courthouse. And the Conservation Congress has been around for a really, really long time. If you're interested in running for the Congress, we don't expect a lot. We expect you to show up for the annual meeting in April. We expect you to try to make the Conservation Congress full meeting, which is in May, and that's this year going to be in Appleton, and then you'll be assigned to a committee or 2, usually only 1, and we expect you to try to make that committee meeting. And the committee meetings, I know Dave's on the Trout Committee, I'm on the Upland Bird Committee, we have other folks that are on all kinds of different committees. The real hard ones to get on are the Bear and the Deer Committee, but there's all kinds of different committees that we need folks to kind of weigh in on. And what they do is they take the resolutions and they see if they pass muster and if it's a good idea. And if it passes through the committee, then the following year it becomes a resolution for the entire state. So there's a process, and it's kind of like a semi-congressional type thing. That's why it's called the Conservation Congress. But here in Wisconsin, we're one of the only states that allows citizen input on rule changes for hunting, fishing, trapping, etc.
Are there some rule changes coming up here?
Yeah, and I haven't seen what they are, but there always are. And those will be out here shortly for everybody to kind of peruse and see what's going on. But there will be some changes. There always are a bunch.
Yeah, I think this year it is the hunting portion. Every other year, one year it's hunting rule changes. The next year it's fishing rule changes. Also, we have it, Wisconsin's broke up into 9 different districts, and we'd like our representatives to attend a district meeting, and there's 2 a year of those. So
not a big requirement, for that.
No. And it's kind of enjoyable, and it's kind of fun. My wife and I went to the Conservation Congress meeting, the big one in Appleton last year. And it's kind of fun. A lot of like-minded people and good time, and lots of more stories to be told. So and some new ones that I haven't heard before.
Right. Yeah. You get out of your area, you get some new ones. That's good. So the Deer Classic coming up this weekend, and you mentioned clothing. When can people bring that in?
If you have clothing to donate, we would like that on Friday. My wife and I will get that all kind of arranged, so when people show up at 9 o'clock in the morning on Saturday, we're ready to roll. Mm-hmm. One other thing I have on the CDAC, the CDAC, each county has a county deer advisory council, and here in Richland County we have a meeting too, but it'll be 2 weeks after the the meeting for the Conservation Congress. It'll be at 7 p.m. on Monday, April 28th in the county boardroom. And the CDAC, of course, what we do there is we take a look at the last year's deer season, how many does and bucks were killed, and we take a look at how many deer we want to kill for the upcoming season, which would be the 2025 season. And so that, again, is open to the public. You can actually give your input before that meeting. The 2 weeks before the meeting on the 28th, there'll be an open online time that you can give your input on what you thought of the last season. And then at the meeting on the 28th, we'll set up what we think should happen for the 2025 fall season, how many antlerless tags, how many deer we think need to be killed how many antlerless deer especially need to be killed in the county, and that kind of thing. And again, you can either show up in person and make your thoughts known then, or you can do it online.
Every district has, their own then, and so every district.
Every county's got their own CDAC.
Mm-hmm. Right. So you can kind of set your own standards then a little bit. So.
Right. There's certain things we can do and certain things we can't do. One of the things we can do is set the number of tags per license. In the past, when you buy an archery license, that archery license is good for one buck with your bow and arrow or crossbow, and then we would issue 4 doe tags along with that. When you buy a gun license, you get a buck tag and 4 doe tags as well. So we determine how many doe tags in each county are to be issued along with a license purchase.
Yeah, one of the things we did a couple years ago is Richland County pushed through an idea of if you've got a positive doe or buck, you got a replacement buck tag.
An either or tag.
Yeah, an either or tag. Right. So that was one of the things CDAC pushed through, and now it's statewide.
Yeah, what happened is at our CDAC meeting, we were trying to figure out a way to get more people to, first of all, test their deer, and second of all, to shoot some antlerless deer. And so the idea came up at a CDAC meeting, but eventually it went through the Conservation Congress program, and it was put in place this last fall. If you shot a antlerless deer, let's say a doe, and it tested positive, normally what you would have gotten in the past was a replacement doe tag. Well, since most people have at least 4 doe tags, we don't really need that. And so we pushed through the Conservation Congress the idea that if you got a positive doe, you would get an either or tag. So you could put that on a buck or a doe. And since most people would rather shoot a buck than a doe, that would encourage people to hunt more and maybe fill that tag. So that was, again, an idea at our CDAC, then eventually got brought up to the Conservation Congress and became a rule. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can see that as being a lot more inviting for somebody to want to be a part.
Yeah, most hunters would rather shoot a buck than a doe, and so that's just encouraging them to get out there and try to fill that tag.
Yeah, and the nice thing about it is, as soon as you turn that in positive, they send you a notification. You have the tag during that season, and it's good for the next season also if you don't fill it right away. So it's actually good for 2 years, your current season, and if you don't fill it, it's good for the next season.
Mm-hmm. So you can bank it for the next year then. So
I have a couple of brothers, and they shoot crossbows, and they usually shoot a buck or two, and of course we have quite a few positives out in our area, and so sometimes they'll go into the deer season with 3 or 4 buck tags instead of the normal 2. So.
We talked in the program in November about just trying to encourage younger hunters to come out, be a part of the sport. And I think coming to the Deer Classic brought a youngster there. That would be a great way to kind of start.
Yeah, it's a good way to build up kind of some kind of enthusiasm for deer hunting and hunting in general and the outdoors in general. And in addition, at the Archery Club, we welcome young kids to come up during the summer out to the archery range. We have some of the PVC bows that Derek was talking about that anybody can pull back. They're only about a 10 or 15 pound pull, so even a young kid could pull that back. And plus, we have some compound type bows that are made for young people that they can borrow as well, and will help them learn how to shoot and run them through the course.
Yeah, on the Deer Classic, what's the age cutoff for them to get in free?
It's 12 and under is free.
12 and under is free.
$5 at the door.
Really good deal, actually. So, anything you'd like to add today, Derek?
Nope. Just a reminder: the deer shows 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Saturday. This Saturday, the 22nd. So
ample hours. Yeah, we got through the program. We didn't even slam Doug Duran too much today, did we?
His turn's coming.
He doesn't get into that archery stuff as much, though.
No, he's not an archery hunter. He thinks it's a waste of time, but obviously we think differently.
Right, yeah. Some say it's more of a sport, right?
Yeah, it is.
Some say
it. It's way better than hunting with a rifle.
Good deal. Well, we appreciate you guys coming in here. We hope that everybody will be a part of it this weekend. Come out. If nothing else, you've got some great food on the menu, don't you?
Food should be good.
Absolutely. Utter Brothers supplying that coming in this weekend for the Driftless Area Deer Classic. Gentlemen, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Here's to a good weekend. Again, the Driftless Area Deer Classic coming up Saturday, 9 to 5 at the Richland Center Community Center. And thanks to John Clare, Dave Barron, and Derek Goplin for being our guests on this portion of the morning show.